I became a god because my computer could connect to a 2D world. I can give them real-world items. A kitchen knife I casually tossed and became their divine weapon. And the offerings these little people give me can actually enter the real world. But I never expected their first offering to scare me half to death. The moment I clicked on the Pixel God game, a voice suddenly echoed in my head. On this day, the world finally welcomed the return of the great god. Your arrival gave this world meaning once again. When I came to my senses, the scene on my computer began to change. A lush green meadow appeared on the screen. Forests and rivers surrounded it. A white domed temple stood at the center. Then the voice spoke again. This is your temple. Please give it a name. My name is Lin Yao. Then let's call it the Temple of Yao. Just then, two tiny naked people appeared in the corner of the screen. They made their way over and circled the temple. An exclamation point appeared above one of their heads. What a magnificent structure. It must be the work of a god. Rewrite. The other tiny person raised their hands high. This is a divine revelation. This is blessed land. We must bring more people to settle here, under the god's blessing. Smiley faces appeared over both their heads. They ran off screen. A few seconds later, they returned with 5 more tiny people. All 7 of them began circling the temple in worship. They built a small thatched hut beside the temple. Then they brought in some berry bushes from off-screen. Soon, they started living next to the temple. A message appeared on the screen. You have gained your first followers in this world. The power of faith is the means by which you perform miracles. Gather more faith. A tiny avatar appeared in the top right corner. Next to it was a palace icon for faith. Both the population and faith stats were at 7. 1 follower provides 1 point of faith. I clicked on faith, and a locked orb of light appeared. This was for miracles. It required a certain amount of faith to unlock them. The most basic one is summoning rain. There were many more powerful miracles, like Azure Flame. The deep-sea prison trapped a fire beast. It transformed the beast into a tree that could spew powerful flames. I stared at these miracles, lost in thought. In other words, I need 10 followers just to perform a basic miracle. Increasing the population became my top priority. Unlike other management sims, a god simulation game does not let you simply build houses or spawn villagers. You had to wait for the little people to migrate and gather on their own. As I watched them farm, I noticed that the ones around the temple seemed distressed. Sad faces appeared above their heads. One by one, they circled the temple and prayed. Great God, please reveal yourself. Please bless us, O great God. The forest tribe thinks we're worshipping a demon. They want to destroy our temple. Please, show us a miracle. I understood immediately. This was their first crisis. I cannot even make it rain. What can I do? Finally, I clicked on the temple. A whole new interface appeared. A stone fire pit stood at the center. In front of it stood a gray, human-like statue. Its face was unclear. It looked neither male nor female. It seemed to be the people's image of a god. A long table stood in front of the statue. It had 2 slots. The large one on the left was labeled Offering. The smaller one on the right was labeled Blessing. Both were empty. Offering was easy enough to understand. Blessing had to be some kind of power or item that the god gives to its followers. Could this be the miracle they were talking about? That was when I noticed something strange. That long table looked so familiar. Wait a second. That table is identical to my computer desk. The offering slot is a perfect rectangle, just like my keyboard. And the blessing slot is oval, just like my mouse. I took a closer look at the statue they were worshipping. Is that me? The thought made me jump. Then a crazy idea popped into my head. I carefully placed a clove of garlic from my desk onto my mouse. I waited with my heart pounding. 2 seconds later, the garlic clove rolled toward the mouse. Heh, just a coincidence, I guess, I muttered. I laughed at myself. But just then, the garlic clove that had rolled away suddenly vanished. I instinctively looked back at the screen. In the temple's blessing slot, a garlic icon had appeared. I clicked the icon, and a line of text appeared. It was God's grace, a special spice and a medicinal herb. Then a prompt appeared. Did you wish to grant this garlic to your followers? A shiver ran down my spine. I jumped up and ran a lap around my tiny apartment. Then I splashed water on my face to calm myself down. When I turned back to the computer, I saw it on the screen. A clove of garlic sat in the blessing slot. This proved it. The garlic from my desk had actually been sent into the temple through my mouse. I had no idea where this game came from or how it could break the laws of physics. But I wanted to see what would happen when it interacted with the real world. So I clicked yes in the game world. Exclamation points appeared above the heads of all the tiny people praying outside. God has answered us. He has granted us a miracle. Oh great God, thank you for your blessing. It's garlic. God has blessed us with garlic. After kneeling and praying once more, they ran off. Smiling faces appeared above their heads. They all got to work. Together, they cleared a piece of land. Tiny sprouts pushed up from the soil. They slowly grew into green shoots. A message appeared on the screen. Your blessing has helped your followers learn to cultivate and use garlic. Faith has increased. The faith stat in the top right corner jumped from 7 to 22. So, granting blessings is a quick way to gain faith. Next, I found 2 pencils on my desk. I thought tools would be incredibly useful for a tribal civilization. But when I clicked the interface, the garlic was still in the blessing slot. I clicked on it, and a message popped up. Garlic is currently being integrated into the world. Please be patient. So, I had to give up on that idea. I've only just started this game. There are still a lot of mechanics I need to figure out. About half an hour later, a group of tiny people ran in from off-screen. They were all wearing leather armor. Their leader wore a horned helmet. They carried wooden knives. With torches in hand, they surrounded the temple. Destroy the demon's house. Kill the demon's followers. Burn it all down. This must be the forest tribe my followers mentioned. They think the temple is meant for worshipping a demon. Exclamation marks appeared over the followers' heads. My 7. This is the palace of a god. This is the temple of Yao. Our God has bestowed a miracle upon us. It was the miracle of garlic. But the forest tribe would not listen. As they cried out for blood, I clicked the miracles option. My cursor hovered over the first option, summon rain. If I call down a storm, these primitive people will probably think their God is angry. But then I reconsidered. No, if I'm going to do something, I should go big. My eyes moved further down the list. The miracles were arranged by faith cost, from lowest to highest. Summon rain cost 10. Lightning cost 20. Blizzard cost 30. Earthquake cost 40. Right now, I only have 22 faith. So I chose lightning. You're the one. I clicked on lightning. The cursor changed into a targeting reticle. I narrowed the area of effect. Then I locked onto the leader of the forest tribe. As they say, cut off the snake's head. With great power comes great responsibility. Eat my divine thunder. With a soft click of the mouse, a bolt of lightning tore down from the sky of the pixel world. It hit the leader and turned him, along with 2 nearby others, to ash. Exclamation marks appeared above the remaining forest tribe members as they scattered in terror. But angry faces hung over the heads of my 7 followers. Divine punishment. You have angered our God. This is the fate of all blasphemers. I watched with quiet satisfaction. This feeling of being worshipped like a real god was intoxicating. I leaned back, my neck a little stiff. This game does not require much input, but it has a strange, addictive quality. I'd lost track of time and played until 12:30 a.m. As much as I wanted to keep going, I shut down the computer, took a shower, and went to bed. After all, I had work tomorrow. Lying in bed, I thought to myself drowsily, if I could create natural disasters and grant real-world items to the people in the game, then to those tiny people, I really was a god. The next day, as soon as I got home from work, I rushed to open the God simulation game. I clicked Continue Game. The familiar interface slowly loaded. I let out a sigh of relief. The save file wasn't corrupted, but the scene on the screen took me by surprise. Next to the temple, there were now 5 thatched huts. In front of each hut was a small, square plot of land. It was filled with garlic. The population in the top right corner had grown from 7 to 30. Faith was at 25. I did some quick math. Yesterday, I used 20 faith on that lightning strike. So I should have had only 2 faith left. Now it's at 25. That's a total increase of 23 points. The population also increased by 23. That proved my theory was right. Under normal circumstances, each new person brings 1 point of faith. More importantly, the game keeps running even when it's closed. A message appeared on the screen. Your followers had finally grown numerous enough to form a tribe. Please give it a name. I casually typed in garlic. It felt right, like the simple naming style of ancient times. The main resource for these followers is the garlic I gave them. So, it was the garlic tribe. Your blessing and favor have officially established the garlic tribe. The Temple of Yao is now known to more people in distant lands. I focused on the newcomers. The 23 tiny new people were all wearing leather armor. They were completely different from my original 7 barefoot followers. They were from the forest tribe. A group from the forest tribe had defected to my side and settled here. My shock and awe tactic from last night had an immediate effect. Whether from fear or reverence, it had drawn them in. As the population grew, a simple division of labor appeared. The tribe members were no longer just growing garlic and picking berries. 2 of them had started hunting in the forest. Another was by the river, trying to catch fish with bare hands. Overall, the garlic tribe was still a primitive society. All of its members were struggling to find food. I clicked on the temple interface. The garlic in the blessing slot was still on cooldown. Since I can bring things from the real world into this world, I could send them some wheat. That would solve their first food shortage. Or maybe a bow would help. Once they mastered archery, hunting would become much easier. They would also have a way to fight back against the forest tribe. Just then, my eyes drifted downward. I noticed something that had not been there before. A new red item appeared in the offering slot. I hovered my mouse over it. It was a small red creature, curled up in a ball. It looked like a newborn animal. The tooltip read, "Newborn of the garlic tribe. An offering to the god." The corner of my mouth twitched. A human sacrifice. Figures. It fits the whole primitive worship theme. A prompt appeared on the screen. Do you wish to accept the newborn from the garlic tribe, offered by your followers? I slammed the no button. If a real baby suddenly appeared in my apartment, I would have a lot of explaining to do. The cops would be all over me. Even worse, the garlic tribe might keep sending me babies. Just thinking about the cost of formula and diapers makes my head spin. Hey guys, I'm a god, not the tribe's daycare provider. I rejected the offering. Exclamation points appeared over everyone's heads. The god is displeased. He doesn't want the newborn. I told you he didn't want a baby. He wants an adult who can help him pick fruit in his garden. No, that's not it. It's not that we need to use prey. The best prey for the god would definitely be a wild boar. I think it should be fish. Fish is the best choice. Let /s go find a new offering. Watching their conversation, I did not know whether to laugh or cry. But if they sent me some wild game or seafood, I could enjoy a nice late-night snack. The entire tribe ran off into the nearby forested mountains. Only 5 stayed behind. They searched all around. Apparently, they were looking for a suitable offering. That was when I noticed that one of them was different. He was one of the original 7, one of the barefoot ones. He stood outside the temple and gazed up at the sky. A question mark appeared above his head. I moved my mouse over it. A thought bubble appeared over his head. It showed his inner thoughts. What kind of offering does our God truly desire? He does not need a newborn. So he probably does not need manpower either. He blessed our tribe with miraculous garlic. In the God's world, there must never be a shortage of food. When the forest tribe blasphemed against the temple, divine punishment struck them down at once. Our God must have power beyond anything we can imagine. Our worldly possessions mean nothing to him. So it must be something miraculous. It must be something we cannot understand or use, but a God might accept. At once, the question mark changed into a light bulb. He seemed to figure something out and ran into the forest. I watched in stunned silence. This little guy's reasoning ability was clearly far above the rest. It was as if he had truly gained sentience. Not long after, he ran back out of the forest. Carrying something in both hands, he entered the temple. A new icon appeared in the offering slot. It was short, like a scepter carved from a tree branch. The tooltip read, "Scepter of Vigor." It recovers 1 point of vigor and faith per hour. This is a treasure crafted by the forest god. It can absorb excess life force from nature. Its wielder can draw immense energy from it just by touching it. It was lost after the forest god fell. It was the scepter of vitality. Do you wish to accept the energy your believers offer? I clicked yes. The scepter icon in the offering slot disappeared. A forearm-length scepter appeared on my black computer desk. My palms were slightly sweaty. I had a hunch that blessings could be sent to the pixel world through the temple. If that was true, then offerings could theoretically be brought from that world into this one as well. But when it actually happened right before my eyes, I still couldn't help holding my breath. I carefully picked up the scepter. It was not heavy. It felt about as heavy as a normal piece of wood. The surface had a wood grain pattern, but it felt smooth and refined to the touch, as if it were coated in a layer of clear varnish. The scepter had 2 short branches. It looked like a broken piece of a clothes hanger, but a few small buds grew on the branches, giving it a sense of vitality. Holding the scepter of vitality, I felt a surge of energy. Even the ache in my back vanished. It felt like being 14 again, or 15, after pulling an all-nighter playing games. One good night's sleep, and you're full of energy again. A magical tool from the pixel world actually works in the real world too. A line of text appeared on the scepter. Maximum vitality will be maintained for 12 hours. In other words, as long as I have the scepter, I theoretically don't need to sleep. The next day, whether I'm at work or at school, I definitely won't feel sleepy. I was ecstatic. I swung the scepter around for a bit before I calmed down. Wait, that's not the most important part. The real point is that offerings can actually be taken out of the pixel game world. There is no doubt about it. There are other magical items in the pixel world, just like this scepter, and they can be sent continuously through the temple. This game was an endless treasure trove. The temple's ability to break through dimensions was incredible. Before long, I will be able to escape this miserable life as a wage slave. Then I will reach the pinnacle of my life. Then I turned my attention back to the game. The little people were returning to the tribe one by one. Smiley faces appeared above their heads. The god likes the offering. That is great. So the god likes that kind of sacrifice. I would definitely find something even better. Still, I thought wild boars were the best. The god will definitely love a wild boar. A wild boar is far more impressive than your little branch. I noticed that the guy pointing at the wild boar and the one who liked fish were both little people from the forest tribe. They were also wearing leather armor. Maybe the forest tribe mainly lives by hunting and gathering. That is why they think prey is the best gift. That made sense. My eyes swept over the little people, trying to find the one who had sacrificed the scepter. But these little people all look exactly the same. There were no names above their heads and no unique features. It was really hard to tell them apart. But after searching for a while, I still managed to find him in the temple. He was barefoot, and a question mark was still hovering over his head. A new message popped up on the screen. A believer had awakened to wisdom. Would you like to convert him into a prophet? In many ancient cultures, a prophet is someone who receives divine revelations and conveys God's will. The little one who found this power scepter is clearly the right person. In this pixel world, I also need someone who can understand my intentions. Even if they understand only a fraction, that is still better than letting a bunch of little people guess blindly. I do not want any more babies showing up in the sacrifice slot. I immediately clicked confirm. The garlic tribe now had its first prophet. Under the prophet's guidance and influence, everyone's intelligence increased slightly. The prophet knelt before the statue. Then he stepped out of the temple. As soon as he appeared, all the little people crowded around him. They seemed to know that he had received the grace of God. The sacrifices God desires are magical items beyond our understanding and grasp. Everyone, stay alert from now on. If you see anything like that, offer it to the god. That way, they would receive God's blessing. The prophet was right. To listen the prophet, magical items. Let's go find magical items, a magical wild boar. I know of a magical white wild boar. No one has ever caught it. I have seen a magical fish underwater. It eats the meat and bones of everything. It is incredibly magical. The god will definitely love it. I was speechless as I watched the last 2 little people talk. Sure enough, they were both wearing leather armor. Even without any markers or names, I instantly recognized them as the 2 brothers from before. When it comes to boars and fish, these two are as stubbornly fixated as moths to a flame. I couldn't help but notice something. The prophet had told the others what kind of sacrifices to look for. But over the next 3 hours, not a single little person found anything similar. Most of them returned to their normal lives. They planted garlic, gathered berries, and ate what they found. Not long after, the tribe welcomed 2 newborns. The little people assigned someone to care for the babies. As for me, the prophet was the only one I could directly guide and control. I could only move him to a designated spot. Whether he understood anything or found anything depended entirely on his own comprehension. After watching for a while, it was already 6:30 p.m. I was starving. I went down to the small diner and ordered minced pork with pepper and green rice. I wolfed it down and hurried back. A new situation had unfolded in the garlic tribe. A black bear had charged into the tribe out of nowhere. It destroyed 2 crop fields and a house. There were even 2 small corpses lying on the ground. Most of the little people hid behind the temple. They trembled all over. The prophet stood beside the temple. He held the tribe's 2 newborns in his arms. The black bear was twice, no, 3 times the size of a little person. To them, it looked like a monster. It was tearing at the corpses on the ground. We finally managed to get 2 newborns. I was counting on them to boost the population. And now this thing comes along and reduces my numbers. Taste my heavenly justice. Just as I was about to unleash a lightning bolt, I suddenly noticed something else happening in the tribe. 2 little people were facing off against the black bear. They wore leather armor and held wooden clubs. One stood in front, and the other stayed behind. They circled the black bear, relentlessly striking its head and rear while moving and shouting at the same time. I'm quick on my feet. It had to be those 2 brothers. I was in a difficult spot. If I used lightning now, those 2 small people might be blasted to ashes too. Just like that horned helmet chieftain from before, I had to wait for them to put some distance between themselves and the bear. The tribe's small population could not afford any more losses, so I decided to keep watching. The 2 tiny pixelated figures moved with surprising agility. They coordinated from the front and back, struck the target, and quickly retreated. Then the others attacked the black bear. They struck its belly and back. The wooden clubs did not deal much damage, but they thoroughly annoyed the black bear. A flame icon popped up over its head, showing its rage. It abandoned the corpses on the ground and frantically chased the 2 little people. This time, they did not stay and fight. They ran together toward the forest. I finally understood what they were trying to do. They wanted to lure the black bear away so it could not hurt anyone else. Those 2 brothers usually seemed a bit unreliable, but when it really mattered, they stepped up. I immediately unleashed a lightning bolt. I aimed ahead of the black bear's path into the forest and tried to keep the blast radius as far from the brothers as possible. A silver bolt of lightning struck straight down on its head. The black bear took a direct hit to the head. It died instantly. The 2 brothers were knocked to the ground in shock. A few seconds later, they scrambled back up. They were still alive. I let out a sigh of relief. When they saw the black bear destroyed by lightning, all the little pixel people threw their hands into the air and cheered. Smiley faces popped up over their heads. Only the prophet had question mark over his. I clicked on it. The prophet was deep in thought. Why would a bear come out of the deep mountains? Such a massive bear had never been seen around here before. Where did it come from? Why did it suddenly attack the garlic tribe? Then the prophet handed the babies to a little person beside him. After that, he walked over to the bear's charred corpse. An exclamation mark popped up above the prophet's head. A notification followed right after. I was startled. Its back had turned into a dead, pixelated little person. The little people in the tribe panicked instantly. It's a follower of the devil. A devil worshiper turned into a bear. It wanted to destroy the temple and attack us. A man-eating devil. That's terrifying. There's a devil here. He has to leave. The 3 pixelated little people immediately scattered and ran. In the bottom right corner, the population dropped by 2. Faith also decreased by 3 points. After the lightning consumed 20 faith points and energy, and with the scepter's replenishment added in, the temple had only 7 faith points left. I scratched my head. I had worked hard all day, and in one fell swoop, I was back to square one. Being a god is not easy at all, What concerns me more is this new demonic element that has appeared. It sounds like demons and gods are on opposite sides. The tribe had not been established for very long, yet a demon worshipper had already come to attack. I don't know whether it was random or if we were being targeted, but it seems a confrontation with demons is inevitable in the future. The prophet found a letter on the demon worshipper's corpse. The target was the forest tribe. While the tribe's hunters were away, kill as many people as possible. The question mark over the prophet's head turned into a glowing light bulb. I get it now. That worshipper demon who turned into a black bear went to the wrong place. He mistook our tribe for the forest tribe. That is why he attacked us. Their target is the forest tribe. We are still safe. The other panicked little people finally started to calm down. They began repairing the destroyed houses and fields. I opened the divine temple interface. The garlic in the blessing bestow slot has not disappeared yet. That means I still cannot provide help from a distance. The offering slot was still empty. The little people in the tribe had not sent any new items. But what surprised me was this. 2 more pixelated little people entered the divine temple. Great God, 2 of your followers have achieved something far beyond their peers. May I ask, do you want to turn them into heroes? I didn't hesitate. A white light glowed around the 2 pixelated little people. Then the hero title appeared above their heads. Of course, it was those 2 brothers. After the prophet, I can also directly control hero characters. I selected a few locations. Then I sent the 2 heroes to scout and patrol the area. Compared to the prophet, who is good at thinking, heroes are better at exploring and conducting field surveys. Clicking on the 2 brothers several times opens a detailed character interface. The interface showed illustrations of the 2 male heroes. The one who liked pigs was muscular. The one who likes fish looks slimmer. Both of them were the same leather armor. They had no other equipment. As expected, one of them had been a hunter before. The other was a fisherman. It's just that the stats on their panels are a bit crude. Then again, these heroes had just awakened. You could not expect too much from ordinary, pixelated little people. I then opened the prophet's character interface. The illustration showed a bare-chested prophet looking up at the sky. His identity was farmer. His knowledge attribute was 13, and all his other attributes were 0. Luckily, the prophet has a special ability, wisdom. Wisdom is the key that allows an apostle to hear the will of their God. The greater the wisdom, the easier it is to improve. It also becomes easier to understand abilities. I hovered the mouse cursor over the 6 attributes. The screen displayed the effects of each one: attack, defense, and knowledge. It felt a lot like Heroes of Might and Magic. It seemed that in the future, both the prophet and the heroes would be able to lead troops into battle. But right now, the tribe's population is too small. Production is still in its early stages. It was early, primitive manual farming. They had not invented farming tools yet, and they had not mastered weapon-making techniques either. Creating professional soldiers is still a long way off. So I selected the 2 brothers and sent them into the forest to explore. For now, I can only rely on these 2 lone heroes. I hoped they would get lucky. A few minutes later, the 2 brothers in the forest made a discovery. They found the forest tribe's settlement. The tribe welcomed them kindly. An exclamation mark appeared above the head of one of the forest tribe's little people. They wanted to trade animal hides and meat for the garlic tribe's garlic. I had the 2 brothers return to the tribe. They met with the prophet and told him about the forest tribe's request. The prophet fell into deep thought. I was conflicted too. Should I tell the forest tribe about the bear? The garlic tribe is still very weak. If they trade with the forest tribe now, they could attract an attack from the demon worshippers. But this is also a chance for our tribe to step out into the world. We can trade for the hides and meat we desperately need. Then I decided to build a good relationship with the forest tribe. After thinking for a moment, I selected the prophet and moved him directly into the forest. After all, development is the only way forward. If the tribe wants to avoid being crushed, it has to seize every chance to grow quickly. Otherwise, once the forest tribe is wiped out, the demon worshippers will turn their attention to the garlic tribe. I can't miss this chance. An exclamation mark appeared above the prophet's head. I am in the forest. I do not know how I got here. It seems this is the will of my God. My god believes we should form an alliance with the forest tribe. So be it. Then the prophet entered the woods. A small figure in leather armor stepped out to greet him. A small path had been cleared through the forest. It led to another settlement deeper inside. On my computer screen, my field of view expanded outward. From my god's eye view, I could see it clearly. The forest tribe had a population of hundreds. They lived in many different tree houses. Unlike the garlic tribe, where everyone did a little of everything, the forest tribe had two distinct professions. They were farmers who specialized in growing berries and mushrooms. They traded them with others for food. The hunters used wooden traps and spears to catch birds and rabbits. They traded their spoils with the farmers. They also used animal hides to make leather goods. Normally, the farmers stayed in the tribe to tend the berry patches, mushroom beds, and gardens. Meanwhile, the hunters went deep into the forest or up the mountains in search of prey. The leader of the forest tribe was called the shaman. He wore a wooden mask. The shaman and the prophet were still talking, but their dialogue did not appear on the screen. It was as if the little people had opened a private chat channel. Even I couldn't tell what they were saying. Fortunately, 10 minutes later, a few notifications popped up on the game interface. The prophet had informed the forest tribe about the demon worshippers' attack. The forest tribe had become friendly. The prophet taught them how to grow garlic and how to use it. The forest tribe has become friendly. The blessing quest is complete. Garlic had become part of this world. The forest tribe and the garlic tribe had successfully formed an alliance. Your faith will now spread through the forest tribe. Seeing this string of good news made me very happy. The prophet pulled off a masterstroke. With the forest tribe's population in the hundreds, I'll at least have a chance to gain some followers. That is a much-needed source of faith right now. The alliance also gives the garlic tribe a reliable trading partner. Most importantly, the blessing quest was complete. I quickly opened the temple's divine interface. Sure enough, the blessing slot was empty. That meant I could send another item through. I was excited for a few seconds. Then I fell into deep thought. What does the garlic tribe need most right now? Writing, tools, food, and power. All kinds of thoughts ran through my mind. Each one seemed useful. Just as I was struggling to choose, another line of text appeared on the screen. To thank you for the garlic, the forest tribe has presented an offering. He was overjoyed. He quickly opened the divine temple to present a second offering. In the offering slot was a green plant that looked like a cactus. Cactus follower. It recovers 1 point of faith per hour. It is a loyal servant of the god and follows the god's commands. It is responsible for cleaning and making offerings in the divine temple. They were a reliable and hard-working group of spirits. They normally stayed in cactus form, but transformed into servants in the presence of their god. Done. I quickly took out offering. In an instant, a sphere appeared on my keyboard. I took it out. In an instant, a perfectly round cactus appeared on my keyboard. It was about the size of my fist. It looked no different from the ones you see at the market. The plump green ball was covered in sharp spines. Suddenly, it began to wobble. Slender green arms and legs sprouted from it. It bent its knees. Then its round body pressed against the desk as it bowed to me solemnly. Did he know how to clean? The cactus follower stayed kneeling on the desk. It nodded, then cleaned the floor here. The follower cactus had received its orders. It leaped off the desk in a single bound. It landed gracefully with perfect balance. Then it started striding across the floor. Wherever it went, dust and debris were swept up and clung to its body. It had been compressed into a sphere. It looked like a small biological vacuum cleaner. Before long, the floor was spotless. There was not a single speck of dust. Even the old crumbs and the stains in the cracks were pulled out. The old floor tiles were now gleaming. It looked as if they had just been waxed and polished. I crossed my legs, opened a bottle of Coke, and watched Cactus, the follower, work. A strange sense of satisfaction washed over me. So this was the joy of being a god. But work was not going smoothly. Yesterday, I got to go home early. Today, the whole company had to work overtime. The boss must have been pissed off by someone outside. He came back and called a surprise meeting. He chewed out every single person. Then he demanded that everyone write a report on their recent work. Today, before closing time, a gloomy and heavy atmosphere hung over the entire company. As long as the boss was still here, No one dared to move. My colleague, Sister Fong, slipped me a pastry. Thanks, Sister Fong. I was starting to feel a little hungry. Sister Fong was one of the only 3 people in the company who genuinely worked hard. She was around 30 and single. She was not beautiful, but she spoke gently and was very approachable. She is not hard to get along with. She said my personality reminds her of her cousin. That is why she treats me well. My mind was completely occupied by the simulation game. I couldn't wait for the boss to finally leave. Let me give you a ride for part of the way. It is on my way anyway. No, it is okay. Thanks. All right then. Be careful on your way home. Sister Fong's tone changed. Hadn't you heard what had been happening lately? There's a pervert who likes to knock people unconscious. Then he hangs them up with ropes. I've heard about that case. There are 2 victims so far. One of them was a female college student. The other was a male delivery driver. I heard they're both in psychological therapy. Don / T you live in Ziyuan district? I nodded. But all I wanted right then was to get home quickly and check on my simulation game. I didn't say anything else. I just ran all the way home. Garlic Tribe, your god has returned. I opened the door. On the computer desk across the room, the cactus follower immediately knelt and bowed to me. I realized my studio apartment had completely transformed. The bedsheets, duvet cover, pillowcases, and curtains all looked brighter. The stains on the surface had been completely sucked away. The wardrobe and nightstand were wiped clean. The room carried a faint, fresh scent of grass and trees. The only things the cactus follower had not touched were the computer and the desk. In its eyes, those 2 things seemed sacred and untouchable. Only a god was allowed to touch them. The 24-inch LCD screen glowed with a white light. Since the simulation god game runs automatically, I decided not to turn off the computer anymore. I left only the simulation game running. Then I walked up to the computer. The Garlic Tribe had changed again. Its population had grown to 38. Among the 13 newcomers were members of the Forest Tribe. They wore leather armor. There were also wandering, bare-chested natives. There was even a wild man with messy hair and leaves on his body. My faith points had reached 44. Now I can cast 2 more lightning bolts. The Cactus Follower and the Scepter of Power together provide 2 faith points per hour. That is my fixed income. The newly increased population is my variable income. Then came the main event of the day. I opened my backpack and took out a clear plastic bag. Inside were light brown seeds. They were wheat seeds. I made that choice after careful consideration. First, let the Garlic Tribe eat their fill. Only then will they have the extra energy to write, make pottery, and even forge weapons. Once they have enough food, their higher-level needs will naturally emerge. So will their capacity for abstract thought. A notification appeared on the screen. Did I wish to bestow wheat upon my followers? Yes. A moment later, exclamation marks appeared one by one over the heads of the little people outside the temple. They raised their hands and cheered. It was a divine blessing from our God. Long live this miracle. Oh, great God. Thank you for your grace and for the wheat. Miraculous wheat. The delicious food was saved. Our God has given us wheat. We must make good use of it, so that God's faith may spread farther across the world. Just like with the garlic, he was the only educated person in the tribe. The prophet was truly farsighted. My faith points jumped from 44 to 84. The garlic had previously given me 15 points. The wheat brought in 40 points. It seems different. Blessings affect people in different ways. Right now, food seems to have a greater effect on the Garlic Tribe. A moment later, food had a greater impact on the Garlic Tribe. A moment later, the prophet entered the divine temple. He knelt down and prayed. A question mark appeared over his head. I clicked on his prompt. Great God, the Forest Tribe knows of a dying apostle of an ancient God. They hope to offer him to you. But first, they need us to teach them how to grow wheat. But wheat was far too precious. My own wisdom was too limited to make that judgment. I could only sincerely pray to Almighty God. Could you grant me your guidance? A choice appeared on the screen. Do you wish to share the wheat with the Forest Tribe in exchange for the apostle? The God simulation game does not describe this pixel world in detail. It doesn't provide a full map or any kind of data. As a god, I have to explore it step by step. When the black bear attacked the tribe, I first thought it was just a wild beast. It was only after the prophet examined the body that I realized it was a demon worshiper. To some extent, I don't know much more than these pixelated little people do. I only possess the status of a player. That is something they cannot comprehend. To them, I am like an otherworldly god descending upon this pixel world. Then it occurred to me, if there is an otherworldly god like me, then this pixel world probably has native gods as well. I looked at the scepter of power in my hand. Then I looked at the cactus follower hibernating in its flower pot. These two treasures originally belonged to the forest god, and according to the divine temple, the forest god had fallen. That is why his belongings were scattered. Are gods like the forest god considered old gods? Was the forest god one of the old gods? Unfortunately, no one could answer that question for me. After a moment of thought, I made my decision. I would trade the precious wheat. After the alliance was formed, it would be hard for the garlic tribe to monopolize this food source anyway. Rather than risk them taking it for free, it was better to make a fair trade now. After I clicked yes, a light bulb appeared above the prophet's head. My God, your servant knows what to do. He immediately had a private chat with the shaman. The two sides quickly reached an agreement. Smiles appeared above the heads of all the little people in the forest tribe. The god has blessed our tribe with food. Great and miraculous God. After that, the little people of the forest tribe carried a stone coffin out of the woods. They brought it before the garlic tribe's divine temple. Then the people of the garlic tribe carried it inside. A gray stone coffin icon appeared in the divine temple interface. Its name was Apostle. I clicked on it. An illustration popped up on the screen. Inside a gray stone coffin lay a woman. A black cloth covered her eyes. Tiny cracks covered her cheeks. Her body looked as if it had been sealed in ash and mud. The gray, stone-like crust almost blended completely with the coffin. If not for the faint outline of her soft, youthful face, she would look no different from a statue. A dying apostle belongs to the forest god. An apostle carries out the god's will and commands. They listen to the god's voice and serve as a vessel for the god to descend into the world. According to the description, an apostle was a unit the god player could control directly, but waking her up would not be easy. I clicked on the apostle and got a notification. He received a notification about reviving her. Reviving her and turning her into an apostle of the temple would require a massive amount of faith power. Would you like to spend 500 faith points to convert the apostle? One lightning bolt cost 20 faith points. An apostle cost as much as 25 lightning bolts. The faith cost was enormous. I absolutely couldn't afford it right now. I could only put the apostle issue on hold. I had to focus on development. I guessed that this dying apostle was a subordinate of the forest god. The prophet dug up the power scepter in the forest. The cactus minion also came from the forest god. And now, a dying apostle has been dug up from beneath the temple. It seemed this forest had a deep connection to the forest god. Too bad I could not talk to the pixelated little people. There was no option to ask questions. In the end, I focused on building the tribe again. I sent one brother to the riverbank and moved the other into the forest. One had been a fisherman and the other a hunter. This played to their strengths. The two heroes gave feedback very quickly. They said the parts of the river with lots of fish were all in deep water. That meant they needed a boat. The tribe needed to build boats for fishing. They also discovered medicinal herbs in the forest. There were animal bite marks and bloodstains on them, but they could not identify them. They needed an apothecary to do that. The resources were there. We just lacked specialized talent. I knew I could not rush it, so I relaxed and kept watching. I found 2 frozen ears of corn in the fridge. I boiled them and had them for dinner. He munched on the hot, chewy corn and watched the little people bustling around the felt tribe. It made him feel like a kid again, watching ants on the ground. It was that simple. It was joyful. Not long after, snow began to fall in the pixel world. Winter had arrived. Aside from the heroes, all the little people from the garlic tribe who had been outside gradually returned. They all hid in their houses to stay warm. During the short daylight hours, they gathered branches for firewood. They also cleared the accumulated snow around the temple and the fields. Fortunately, the wheat had been planted very early. The bumper harvest gave the tribe enough food to survive the harsh winter. The little people were not afraid at all. Happy emojis floated above their heads. We have wheat. We have enough food. No one will starve this winter. Thank goodness for the wheat and garlic bestowed by the god. Right at that moment, the forest tribe suddenly came to visit. Unlike their previous trading visits, Tatman led them in person this time. The prophet welcomed them. They lit a campfire in the snow. As they warmed up to their visiting allies, an anxious expression appeared on Tatman's face. Friends of the garlic tribe, we are facing a crisis we cannot solve. We beg for your help. 20 hunters from the forest tribe, our very best hunters, went deep into the forest for one last hunt to prepare for winter. But a massive avalanche came down from the mountain. It buried them in the northern part of the forest. We can't find them. Only a god's mighty power can save us. We pray to Almighty God Yao of the Yao Temple to show mercy to these hunters. If you can help them survive, we will build a temple in our tribe. We will worship God Yao. We will offer our tribe's sacrifices and loyalty. An exclamation mark popped up over the prophet's head. If you wish to pray for the god's protection, go to the temple and worship God Yao. Only the most sincere pleas can earn God's mercy and blessing. Tatman led his tribesmen in worship around the temple. I thought to myself that, according to what Tatman said, if I could find those people, then a temple could be built in the forest tribe as well. That meant I could bestow blessings on both tribes at the same time. I would receive double the benefits. But how could I save the hunters trapped in the snow? I immediately thought of the scorching sun miracle. It cost nearly 25 faith points. I saw it once. If deployed, it would probably melt the heavy snow. I selected Scorching Sunday. On the game interface, I dragged it to the northernmost reachable area of the forest. I pushed it to the maximum possible range. Then I clicked on the sky above the northern forest. A brilliant golden light appeared. The thick layer of white snow melted away in an instant. Several tiny people were lying on the ground, shivering. An exclamation mark popped up above the kneeling Tatman's head. Great God, the forest tribe sincerely thanks you for your kindness. We have absolute faith in your power. We will immediately build a temple to worship you. We will immediately build a temple to worship you. Tatman sent a group of little people quickly toward the northern forest, where the snow had melted. They soon found the missing hunters. Just as Tatman had promised, the forest tribe also built a temple. But to my slight disappointment, the temple interface did not change. My plan for double blessings and sacrifices did not work out. Still, there was some gain. Your miracle has shifted the forest tribe's attitude toward worship. Because they worship the same God, the forest tribe is merging with the garlic tribe. My spirits instantly lifted. If I could absorb the 100+ people from the forest tribe, that alone would be worth 300 faith points. The population increase would also expand the temple's sphere of influence. With more people available to trigger random events, the immediate faith cost turned into a long-term investment. In return, it brought sustainable benefits. I observed that the forest tribe did not believe in any god. There was no temple and no totem symbols. Tatman did not rely on a god the way the prophet did. He was more like an experienced elder. He relied on the wisdom of his ancestors to lead the entire tribe. This was actually a good thing for me. If the forest tribe also believed in another god, the two tribes would likely clash over their faith. That might even start a war. Now, a wide road stretched between the two tribes. Both sides were building houses one after another. The garlic tribe built thatched cottages, while the forest tribe built tree houses. The two tribes were growing closer by the day. I waited for their complete merger. Suddenly, a ringing sound echoed. A sound came from outside. I lived in an old residential area. Even during the day, there were not many people in the alley. At night, it was completely silent. I walked to the window and looked outside. Something was swaying back and forth under the streetlight. It looked like something was hanging from the lamppost. When I looked closer, I saw a person hanging by a rope from the concrete lamppost. The ringing phone in the alley sounded exceptionally clear. I immediately dialed 911. Hello, police. There's someone in the alley outside. Police? Someone is hanging by a rope in the alley outside. He was at the motorcycle factory dormitories in the Jiu Yuan residential area. They asked for detailed information about the address and the situation. They told me not to act rashly. They said they would be there soon. I put the phone down and let out a soft sigh of relief. This kind of thing was best left to the police. Just then, the cactus minion, which had been dormant, suddenly jumped onto the windowsill. It turned to face the person in the alley. Its sharp spine stood on end, as if it were on high alert. "What is wrong? Did you notice something?" The cactus minion nodded. "Sigh? Too bad you can't speak." "Great God, you said I can speak. So your servant can speak." The cactus knelt on the ground and let out a strange voice. I was startled. "You can speak. You were given permission to talk. Only then could your humble servant speak. As for the person hanging there, what did you discover?" "Great God, that is a kind of devil's ritual. Devils use cruel and extreme rituals to gather faith. They exploit fear and ignorance to deceive people. What is the difference between a devil and a god?" "Great God, a devil is simply an evil god at the opposite extreme." When I heard this, I understood. Devil was just another name. It meant there was another god player besides me. Someone else was also using the god simulator to collect sacrifices. I immediately remembered what Sister Fong had said. A pervert had appeared in the Jiuan residential area. I warned myself inwardly. I had to be even more careful. I could not let anyone discover the simulator on my computer. If a devil player found out, they would definitely steal my magical items. They might even attack me. Then it would no longer be just a game. I found a small flower pot and told the cactus minion, "Without my permission, you are not allowed to move or speak. You are just a cactus. Behave and stay in here." "Got it?" "Yes, great God." The cactus bowed. In the alley where the cars were parked, the phone kept ringing without end, like a cry for help. I looked back at the person hanging beneath the lamppost. He seemed exhausted and had stopped thrashing around. His features became much clearer. Under the light, his body looked dark, and he was wearing a bra. There seemed to be many bloodstains on his skin. I remembered that I had a small pair of binoculars in the house. With the binoculars, my view became much clearer. I actually knew the person standing under the lamppost. He was a hairstylist at a salon called Exquisite Scissors, across from the residential area. His work name was Anki. His real name was unknown. The salon was very affordable. A wash, blow-dry, and cut cost only 15 yuan. I often went there for haircuts. I vaguely remembered Anki. He had dyed his hair light blonde. He was in his early 20s. He spoke softly, avoided pointless small talk, and never became a nuisance. After the police rescued Anki, she was completely terrified. He did not say a word. He just wrapped himself in the jacket the police gave him. He looked a bit dazed. His body was smeared with blood and covered in various bizarre symbols. Those symbols looked like distorted Arabic numerals linked together. They also looked like iron chains wrapped around him. The police cordoned off the scene. They also came to my house to take a statement. I told them exactly what I saw. I only hid the parts about the simulator and the devil's ritual. By the time they finished hearing my statement, it was already 2 a.m., but I did not feel sleepy at all. I looked at the cactus and the flower pot on the table. "Have you ever been to the mortal world before? Your humble servant has entered your divine realm for the first time. I was granted life by the forest god, but the forest god's divine realm seemed different from yours. There, water was everywhere. I was too insignificant to understand what kind of existence the divine realm truly was. What did the forest god look like? I couldn't look directly at him. Just like you, my great god. The appearance of a great being you favor cannot be described. I could only make out a few vague silhouettes of the gods. I managed to pry some information out of the cactus. It had no name. It was just one of the many cactus minions created by the forest god. It spent its entire life doing chores in the temple. After the forest god bestowed a blessing and sent the cactus minion into the pixel world, they were never summoned back. It only knew that the temple gradually crumbled, which meant the forest god had fallen. Eventually, the cactus was buried underground along with the collapsed temple. Years later, the forest tribe dug it up while gathering mushrooms, but only a god could control a cactus. The pixelated life forms absolutely could not restore the cactus to its true form. If you are a relic left behind by the forest god, then your name is help the cactus restore its true form. If you are a relic left behind by the forest god, then your name is Xiaoyan. The next day, Near quitting time at the company, he heard something. Did you hear? That pervert showed up again yesterday. And right in your Ziyuan residential area too. I told you not to walk around at night. If you had run into that pervert, I do not even want to think about it. To show my gratitude, I ordered her a small cake and a coffee for delivery. After work, I rode my old electric scooter like the wind. Compared to the bus, the electric scooter did not get stuck in traffic. It could also take shortcuts. Theoretically, it was the ultimate commuting vehicle. Once I got home, I eagerly sat down in front of the computer. On the screen, winter had passed in the pixel world. The snow had completely melted. In its place came budding shoots and fresh grass. The little people of the garlic tribe continued reclaiming land. The little people of the forest tribe hunted everywhere. Then everyone returned to their familiar lives. The wheat fields were neatly arranged across the ground. Their scale kept expanding. Even I, a god, felt a sense of joy. The prophet and Tatman stood outside the temple. They seemed to be having a private conversation again. The two little people smiled from time to time and looked completely at ease. The ancestors of the forest tribe were once followers of the ancient forest god. But now, those are only stories passed down by the elders. They say it is from the previous era. The elders say that before the forest god disappeared, this forest covered more than half the world. Back then, all the wild beasts were allies of the forest tribe. The ferocious devils had all been tamed into servants. Everyone had incredibly long lifespans. They lived in harmony with the trees and possessed God-given powers. But that was a long time ago. So long ago that we cannot even tell what is real and what is fake. Since Tatman's time, the forest tribe had suffered from food scarcity for a long time. The winters were getting colder. The animals were becoming fewer. And the shadows of devil worshippers had begun roaming the forest. This forest is withering. My friend, I must make a difficult decision now. They wanted to leave the forest and worship at the temple. Can God Yao accept the forest tribe? An exclamation mark popped up above the prophet's head and began to glow. As long as you are sincere believers, you will all receive God Yao's protection. The garlic tribe welcomes you. A notification popped up on the screen. The garlic tribe and the forest tribe have merged. Faith has increased slightly. The blessing was fully completed. Wheat had integrated into the world. I was thrilled. I quickly looked at the top right corner. My faith points had jumped from 79 to 237. The population also went from 38 to 190. I couldn't help but throw my hands in the air. The initial investment and patient waiting had finally paid off. After the two tribes officially merged, the people of the forest tribe gradually moved out. Learning from the garlic tribe, they built thatched cottages, reclaimed land, and planted garlic and wheat. On the other hand, the forest tribe's hunting party remained behind. They regularly went into the forest to hunt. They brought back much-needed meat and animal hides. Gradually, the people of the garlic tribe also began wearing leather armor. Just by looking at them, you could no longer tell the little people of the two tribes apart. The new garlic tribe was brimming with vitality. But those two brothers ran into trouble again. I didn't know when it happened. They had traveled together to the farthest western edge of the forest. That was where the forest met the endless mountain range. Suddenly, they sent out a warning. They ran all the way back to the tribe. There are enemies in the forest. If they attack, sound the alarm. The two heroes' discovery drove the entire tribe into action. Under the leadership of the prophet and Tatman, the hunters gripped their wooden spears tightly. Very quickly, the enemies in the western forest revealed their true nature. They were a group of savages wearing animal skins and wielding axes. There were only a little over 10 of them, but they were incredibly fierce. They clashed head-on with 30 hunters. Hand over your food. If you don't, we'll kill you all. They all nearly died. The hunters struggled badly against those savages. Fortunately, the two heroes proved their worth. They wielded wooden clubs. They specialized in sneaking up behind the savages. Combined with their agility, that made them very hard to injure. This fighting style was simple, yet highly effective. It caused the savages to suffer one loss after another. Soon after, the savages were driven back. They cursed as they left. How dare you fight back? You're all dead. We'll be back. Just wait for us. We will come and slit your throats. I watched with a hint of regret. We hadn't finished off that band of raiders. We only drove them away. That was when Tapman spoke up. They re the Modzi tribe. They live in the mountains. They have no intelligence and are as ferocious as wild beasts. The Modzi tribe is very strong. Every one of them is a powerful warrior. They re always raiding the surrounding tribes for food. Most of the forest tribe s food was stolen by them. They are followers of a demon and have received the demon s power. They can transform into beasts. We can t fight them. I suddenly understood. So that black bear from before was a warrior from the Modzi tribe. No intelligence. Ferocious as a wild beast. No wonder that guy didn't even recognize the garlic tribe or the forest tribe last time. He attacked everyone. I looked at the potted plant on my desk. Yao Yan, my God, your loyal servant awaits your command. The cactus immediately leaped out of the soil. It stood at attention. So all followers of the demon can turn into beasts, my Lord God. Turning into a beast is likely one of the demon's abilities. Only a few followers, known as heroes, can awaken the demon's power. They are the only ones who can use this ability. So that's how it was. The reason the boss bear I killed last time left behind a full corpse was that he was one of the demon's hero followers. He was much stronger than the average little person. I looked back at the two brothers. You're heroes too. Why don't you guys have any special abilities? I opened the control panel. I suddenly realized that I had jumped to conclusions. Yushiki was a level 2 hero and a fisherman. Attack, 2. Defense, 1. Luck, 2. Awakened ability, water divination. Level 1. It can find a water source in any environment. Zhushi Huan. Level 2 hero. Hunter. Attack, 3. Defense, 2. Awakened ability, tracking, level 1. It can identify tracks left by people and animals. They leveled me up without realizing it. These two abilities aren't combat skills, but they're still very useful. The two ability track. No wonder, they were able to detect the Modzi tribe's appearance. My mistake, you doubting guys. I shifted my gaze to the mountain range west of the forest. That is where the Modzi tribe gathers. Do you really think you can mess with a god and walk away? Not so fast. I immediately came up with a counterattack plan. First, I sent the two heroes into the western mountains to continue scouting. With their tracking and water divination skills, they're perfect for reconnaissance. Next, I opened the temple's interface. The offering slot was empty. I took a red and yellow toy bow and arrow set from my backpack. It was made entirely of plastic. The arrows had soft rubber tips and were bought from a toy store. For an early tribal civilization, the bow and arrow are powerful weapons. It allows people to move away from high-risk combat methods like melee fighting. Instead, they can wear down the enemy with ranged attacks. Even though it was a child's toy, the basic structure was the same. I placed the toy bow and arrow set on the cursor. A red and yellow bow and arrow icon appeared in the offering slot. A bow and arrow appeared. A gift from the gods. A powerful long-range weapon. It was a long-range weapon. One of the most important weapons for armies and hunters. Did you wish to bestow the bow and arrow upon your followers? I chose yes. Exclamation marks appeared above the heads of all the little people in the garlic tribe. The temple bestowed a gift, a new bow and arrow. It was a divine bow and arrow. What a magnificent weapon. We're not afraid of our enemies anymore. The hunter's reaction was the strongest. Not only did smiley faces appear above their heads, but they also quickly crafted their own bows and arrows. Then they ran into the forest in excitement. A question mark appeared above the prophet's head. A bow and arrow. A long-range weapon. The god wants to arm us, so we will no longer live under constant threat and attack. God's will is for us to confront the demon's followers and defeat these savage evildoers. That had to be it. That man thought differently. A bow and arrow worked like a frog's tongue. It let the user hunt safely from a distance. Once we're equipped with bows and arrows, we can hunt more than just rabbits and monkeys. We can also shoot down birds in flight. When facing poisonous snakes, bears, and wolves, we no longer have to fear getting hurt. We need more bows and arrows. Everyone can become a warrior. A notification appeared on the screen. Your grace has helped your followers learn how to make and use bows and arrows. Faith has increased. It rose by 30 points at once, bringing the total to 267. After mastering the bow and arrow, the Garlic tribe's military strength had clearly grown. Now, every little person who went outside carried a bow and arrow. The hunters began bringing back large prey, like bears and deer. More animal hides covered the thatched huts. More meat hung drying on the wooden racks. Just then, the two heroes sent word. They discovered a new tribe, the Salt Pond tribe. They heard that we had food and wanted to trade. They never found the Matsi tribe, but they made an unexpected discovery. I brought the two brothers back to the tribe. They also led the people of the Salt Pond tribe back with them. Two little people arrived. They wore linen clothes and carried cloth bags. They looked very wealthy. As soon as they arrived, they began discussing trade with the prophet and Tatman. The Salt Pond tribe has always traded with other tribes. We use salt to exchange for food, clothing, and medicinal herbs. We hope to trade salt wheat. For your a question mark appeared over the prophet's head. This seems like an opportunity. We must try to spread faith in our God. I watched with great satisfaction. The prophet really understands me. Friends of the Salt Pond tribe, have you considered a better place to live? The little people of the Salt Pond tribe looked at each other. We have the Salt Pond. The Salt Pond is everything. With it, we can trade for anything. We don't need anything else. Tatman also spoke up to persuade them. The Madzi tribe is here in the mountains. They worship a demon and attack any tribe they find. They do not share their faith. They have only just settled here. The Salt Pond tribe won't be able to escape them. Smiley faces appeared above the heads of the Salt Pond tribe's people. That's not a problem. We believe in that great demon lord too. Exclamation marks appeared over the heads of the Garlic tribe members. The people of the Salt Pond tribe explained that their temple worships 3 gods. One of them is the demon you spoke of. We live by the Salt Pond. We live by salt. As long as life gets better, any faith is acceptable. If needed, we are also willing to believe in the God here. The prophet and Tatman were both stunned. Watching them, I could not help but exclaim, impressive. The Salt Pond tribe is the first polytheistic tribe I have seen. They are highly focused on practical benefits. They are a lot like early merchants. After some discussion, the prophet and Tatman reached an agreement. They agreed to the trade. The Garlic tribe and the Salt Pond tribe began trading. The Salt Pond tribe's attitude shifted to neutral. The two little people from the Salt Pond tribe took a walk around the village. Suddenly, exclamation marks appeared above their heads. Garlic was a unique spice. It was a one-of-a-kind commodity they had discovered. They raised their hands in excitement. Please give us as much garlic as you can. Garlic was worth a fortune. It was delicious and pungent. I couldn't stop laughing as I watched. My accidental action from before was now paying off. In the early days of human civilization, spices were an extremely expensive luxury. Wheat, bows and arrows, and animal hides were considered common goods. But garlic was the only spice available nearby. The little people from the Salt Pond tribe left 2 bags of salt, took a large amount of garlic, and hurried back. A few minutes later, a notification appeared on the screen. The Salt Pond tribe has decided to treat garlic as a key commodity. Attitude has shifted to friendly. Your faith will within be spread the Salt Pond tribe. Your grace has brought great joy to the Salt Pond tribe. Faith increased slightly. It rose by 120 points, jumping straight to 387. I was stunned for a moment. This Salt Pond tribe was something else. Just giving them the distribution rights for garlic earned me this much trust. Their population and size far exceed those of the former Forest tribe. Thinking about it, that makes sense. To move between 3 different gods, you have to be strong. If they had been strong enough on their own, the Matsi tribe would have flattened the Salt Pond long ago. Near midnight, the Garlic tribe was attacked by the Matsi tribe for a second time. 25 Matsi warriors, clad in animal hides and wielding stone axes, charged out of the western forest. But this time, the Garlic tribe's hunters had already formed a tight battle line. With bows and arrows in hand, they followed the command of the 2 heroes. Then they rained arrows down on the Matsi. The Matsi were riddled with arrows. They seemed to have no experience fighting archers at all. They relied only on animal hides and their own bodies for defense. In the end, only 6 or 7 of them managed to reach the hunters. The Mozi forces had superior numbers and support from their bows. Even so, they were decimated. Besides those who were shot dead or fled, the Garlic tribe captured 4 Mozi warriors. The prophet began to question them. "Where is your tribe? We will never betray the demon. So what is it that you believe in? Glory to our great God. You heretics will all die. How many people do you have in total? We will never betray anyone." The 4 of them refused to say a word. The more experienced Tapman chose a different approach. "Your courage and loyalty have earned our respect. You have been defeated. Returning now will only lead to punishment from your demon and your tribe. Here, we have wheat to fill your bellies. We also have bows and arrows. We have delicious garlic. We also have dried meat and salt. Joining the Garlic tribe is not a betrayal. You will come to believe in our great and merciful God. With our God's protection, the demon cannot harm you." The 4 warriors fell silent for a moment. Exclamation marks appeared over their heads. "Be careful. Join the Garlic tribe. Join the Garlic tribe. That man is a great judge of character." After that, the 4 of them told him everything. "Our tribe is in the mountains to the northwest. We live beside a large cave, and there are 82 of us in total. Excluding the old and the weak, we have 49 warriors." Next to the cave stood a statue. It was a god wearing an animal hide. It is called the beast-devouring god. The beast-devouring god demands living sacrifices and the hides of wild beasts. So our tribe has to go out and raid for food. The tribe has produced 2 beast-morphing heroes. One of them went missing while attacking the forest tribe. The others remained in the tribe. The Mozi tribe was the enemy. The demon was the enemy. "We will never betray the Garlic tribe." They were chanting the exact same slogans as before. Their shift in allegiance was seamless. The 4 Mozis took off their animal hides. They put on leather armor, picked up bows and arrows, and quickly joined the group. What surprised me was that this beast-devouring god had no idea to how manage a tribe. He constantly ordered the Mozi to hunt and raid everywhere to gain faith. He never once considered how the Mozi people actually lived. After they got bows and arrows, the threat from the Mozi was greatly reduced. My most urgent task is still to increase my faith value. This strategic reserve needs to be as large as possible. After repelling the second attack, the Garlic tribe entered a period of stability. The Saltpond tribe kept sending people to buy garlic and bows. In return, they sold salt, medicinal herbs, and farming tools that the region lacked. They even built a wooden house here to serve as a permanent shop. As interaction and trade increased, the hunters with bows and arrows kept expanding their range of activity. The Garlic tribe attracted more migrants from outside. The population in the top right corner had risen to 247. The faith value had increased to 440. In just one day, faith had soared. That brought back a thought I had tried to suppress. Converting an apostle for the temple cost nearly 500 faith points. Right now, I am only 52 points short. If I keep going a little longer, the Scepter of Vitality and my Cactus follower will give me a steady increase of 2 points per hour. Maybe there was still hope. It was possible. But by the time I left for work at 8:30 a.m., the faith value was still stuck at 4.59. I was a little distracted that day. Tomorrow is the weekend. I just wanted to rush home. I wanted to glue myself to the emulator. The Scepter of Vitality can restore my energy, so I do not feel tired. But the moment I let go of the scepter, the exhaustion returns. The muscle aches and fatigue clung to me like a shadow. The powerful scepter is like a stimulant. It can keep my energy up for a short time, but it cannot change the limits of the human body. Sleep was still essential. I was also thinking about the old god's apostle temple. Is it worth such a huge investment? After all, he was the forest god's right-hand man. Xiao Yin, a mere servant, is already so useful. An apostle surely won't be too shabby. Most importantly, I still haven't found any other way to create an apostle. Right now, the old apostle of God is the only path available. It was finally time to get off work. But then my boss suddenly gave me an urgent task. He told him to drive 20 kilometers and deliver concert tickets to a CEO. By the time I finished and got home, it was already 8 o'clock at night. I did not even have time to wipe the sweat off my face. I rushed to the computer. The faith count in the top right corner had risen to 489. The increase basically came from the magic items. Population growth has slowed down a lot. So I took a shower first. Then I went to the window to catch the night breeze. I looked toward the streetlight in the alley. No one was hanging there today, which made sense. If he had someone to hang up every 3 days, that demon player would be openly defying the entire police system. I went back to the computer. The displayed faith count was 500. I opened the temple interface. I clicked on the stone coffin icon. Bring this person back to life. Turn them into an apostle of your temple. This will consume a large amount of faith power. Do you wish to spend 500 faith points to convert the apostle? I moved the cursor to yes, but I did not click it yet. I asked the cactus beside me, Xiaoyan, whether resurrecting an apostle really required so much faith. After a moment, I realized apostles were the strongest right hand of every god. It was absolutely worth it. However, I was not familiar with the apostle in the coffin or the stone. I do not know what abilities he has. When will we go? Do you know all of the forest god's apostles? I remember the head apostle, Lord Fred. He was very powerful. She can summon the spirit of the forest. As for the others, I had never met them. I gave the cactus an unimpressed look. So you only know about one of them. I am just saying that I am not really familiar with this one. Different apostles have different abilities. Some are skilled in combat, while others excel in reconnaissance. But there is one apostle who is absolutely essential. You also need an apostle who can move freely. My eyes returned to the screen. I hit yes without a second thought. My faith points were wiped out instantly. Only 1 point remained. A notification popped up in the pixel world. The slumbering apostle had heard your call. Your power of faith healed her broken body and her withered soul. She is rapidly reviving from the sea of oblivion. Forest Warden, Sui will obey your will, carry out your divine work, and fight for the flame of your faith. The stone coffin shattered. After the dust settled, a girl in a black cloak was revealed. Suyi's eyes were covered with a black blindfold. Her long, moss-green hair was tied back. Her body grew supple, and the cracks on her cheeks vanished. She knelt on one knee inside the temple. The hem of her long black cloak trailed across the ground. Sui was not facing the idol. She was facing me through the screen. O God above, Sui offers you all her loyalty and faith. Your first apostle has been born. The Garlic tribe's faith has grown stronger. The appearance of an apostle has revealed your faith to more people in the world. Grace was fulfilled. The bow and arrow merged with the world. At that moment, my attention was completely fixed on Sui's profile. Apostle Levy. Forest Warden, Sui. Attack, 20. Defense, 20. Knowledge, 30. Mana, 33. Abilities, Intellect, level 15. Prayer of Oblivion, level 5. Forest Sword, level 1. Intellect was the prerequisite for improving other abilities. It is basically a skill accelerator. Prayer of Oblivion means Sui is a necromancer who specializes in summoning. Forest Sword is her ultimate combat skill. She can summon the sword to boost all her combat stats. After the battle, she can even create forest elemental creatures. She can sustain herself through combat. That lets her build an elite army. These stats are on a completely different level from anyone else in the Garlic tribe. It was like a high-level player dropping into a starter village. I also noticed a dialogue box above Sui's head. There was no text inside it, only a long, empty input field. I tried typing. Sui, can you see this? She remained kneeling on one knee. Another dialogue box appeared above her head. My lord, Sui has heard your command. Why are you wearing a blindfold? My eyes have lost their vitality. Sometimes, their eyes fall out of their sockets. So I cover them to avoid frightening others. Just as I thought, this is what truly sets an apostle apart from the other pixel people. She can break the fourth wall and communicate with a god player like me. He kept typing at the keyboard. How did the forest god they followed fall? The flame of faith has been extinguished. The memories of the gods have also been erased. You want to level up? What's the fastest way? The power of faith is the quickest method, but it consumes a huge amount of faith. Normally, an apostle levels up by carrying out the god's commands and gathering faith in the world. It grew through exploration, combat, rituals, and enlightenment. I decided to test it. To make Sui love him, he would need 1,500 faith points. Compared to that, getting a level 15 Su for 500 points for Yi was a real steal. Typing back and forth with an apostle felt strangely magical. It felt like chatting with a stranger online for the first time. It was new and full of anticipation. Su Yi, how old are you? My lord, I cannot remember my exact age. What do you think of the Garlic tribe? It is a rather primitive tribe. The population is small. They are uncivilized and very backward. Can you come to my world? Others cannot, but an apostle can. You need to place me in the temple as an offering. Then I will arrive in the divine realm where you reside. When you bestow your grace upon me, I will return to the temple. But I implore you not to do that. Every act of grace and every offering is critical. In the war of faith among the gods, every chance to increase your faith is precious. The brighter your flame of faith burns, the greater your chance of ruling the entire world. What are you doing? Wait a moment. A panicked Sui was dragged straight into the offering slot by my mouse. The offering is confirmed. Are you sure you want to receive it, Forest Warden? Sui? I pressed yes. Then my vision blurred for a moment. On my computer desk, a slender girl in a black cloak was kneeling. Her eyes were covered by a black blindfold. Her small face was pale and tense. Her body was still trembling slightly. My lord, what do you want me to do? Sui's voice was very soft. Her accent was a little unusual, but she spoke perfect Mandarin. I wondered if this was a special apostle ability. I found it amusing. Sui looked cold and solemn in the temple. But in the real world, she was completely different. She was like a girl who had been kidnapped and taken to a foreign land. She looked helpless and pitiful. Listen to me, Sui. I summoned you for an important matter. In this world, the one you see is a divine realm. A demon has appeared. He has already performed 3 demonic rituals nearby. I summoned you to track him down and ensure my safety at the same time. Sui understood what was happening. Her expression showed it immediately. She calmed down and knelt solemnly beside the desk. With her head slightly bowed, she said, As you command, Sui will find the demon and protect you, my lord. That's better. Can you still use your abilities here? Yes. My abilities come from the flame of faith. They can transcend spatial limits. Good. You can come down now. Sui lightly hopped down from the desk. She was about 5 feet 3 inches. Her skin was fair and smooth, like porcelain. She had a slightly high nose and pink lips. Judging by her build, she looked about 17 or 18. She was wearing a black cloak that hid her figure. Her eyes were covered with a blindfold. The whole outfit was far too conspicuous. You should change your clothes first. Otherwise, the demon will spot you before you find him. So he picked out a white shirt, a pair of jeans, and some slippers from my clothes. I waited for her to finish changing before I went in. Then I pulled a pair of sunglasses and a baseball cap out of my closet. Use these instead of the blindfold. Okay. Yes. Then press done. Her loose, comfortable outfit matched Sui's green hair, black sunglasses, and baseball cap. Together, they gave her a cool street-style look. Developing the tribe in the game is important. But in the real world, my own safety comes first. Sui's primary mission is to ensure my survival. After gaining a basic understanding of the simulator, I knew very well that wars between gods were incredibly brutal. The old god was a fallen god. Once that demon player finds me, he will definitely imprison and control me. He will turn me into a tool to exploit for faith. The fact that he regularly sacrifices ordinary people in rituals shows something disturbing. Some players no longer care about laws or rules. They will do anything. Cactus, Xiaoyan, is fine for cleaning, but she has absolutely no combat ability. With Sui here to protect me, I'll be much safer. The next day was Sunday. Do you really want to go out with me, my lord? There is a demon lurking around you. I must stay by your side every step of the way to ensure your safety. Going out to buy food is necessary. At the same time, we should minimize contact with suspicious people. That will prevent the demon from poisoning your food or using it to perform a ritual. She had a point. But if Sui came along, it would cause other problems. All right, I will create a simple identity for you. Your name will still be Sui. You are from a small country. Our families know each other, so we met as kids. You have also known how to speak Mandarin since you were young. You are 18 this year. You came to this city for a relaxing vacation. When we are outside, you have to call me Lin Yao. If someone asks a question you can't answer, stay silent. Understood. Once we were ready, I took Suyi out. First, I bought her shoes. Suyi's feet were small. She couldn't fit into my shoes. At the mall, I had her try on a pair of canvas shoes. He wanted to buy her a simple set of clothes. But Suyi kept refusing. Lin Yao, I can sew my own clothes. I have always done it that way. Shoes only need some leather and cloth. Or you can simply wrap your body in a large piece of cloth. At night, it could also be used as a blanket. That made it much more convenient. Her serious and earnest expression, along with those words, made me feel a little sorry for her. I often travel for work. At the fresh produce section, I bought a lot of meat and potatoes. They were foods that could be stored for a long time. I also grabbed some rice and noodles. I estimated it would be enough for half a month. Lin Yao. Someone suddenly called my name. Oh, crap. It was an acquaintance, Fong. She was pushing a shopping cart with a man beside her. Inside were some hot pot ingredients. I had no choice but to bite the bullet and say hello. You two are out shopping too. This is my boyfriend, or rather, my fiancé, Han Zigong. This is Lin Yao. I have told you about him. He is the handsome young man from my office. He is a great guy. Han Zijing was tall and had slightly tanned skin. He had a square face, a prominent nose, and a rugged, masculine look. He smiled and greeted me. Nice to meet you. T, you going to introduce us to your friend, Suyi? She is a friend of mine. Wow, she looks like a little foreign doll. How did you two meet? Our parents know each other. We met as children. I kept a calm expression. Meanwhile, Suyi remained silent. Fong shot me a look. She knew when to stop. Well, we will not keep you two any longer. You live in the factory dorms in the Jiyuan district, right? I'm a criminal detective for the city. Something happened in that alley the other day. I was there at the scene, but I was still processing it. A different colleague took your statement. So he's a cop. I nodded. What's going on? Is this about Lin Yao? Fong looked a little surprised. He was one of the witnesses. He's the one who called the police. Officer Han, have you caught that pervert yet? I can't disclose that. You still haven't caught him? That person is terrifying. The victim will be psychologically scarred for life. Han Zhigong looked slightly troubled. Because of protocol, he could only say that they would definitely bring him to justice. After saying goodbye to Fong and her fiancé, Suyi and I hailed a cab back to the apartment complex. We were carrying bags of all sizes. I left the cleaning and sorting to Xiaoyan. Then I eagerly sat down at my computer to run the simulator. Suyi sat beside me. As she watched me move the mouse, she couldn't help but sigh softly. So this is what the lower dimensional world looks like from a higher dimension. It was easy to understand. From high above, everyone looked as small as ants. It's just a matter of perspective. Suyi seemed lost in thought. She sat up straight, as if she were watching me play the game. But in reality, she was on high alert. She was listening to every sound and watching every movement in the small apartment. Oh, right, Suyi. If I can summon you here, does that mean I can also bring other tribe members here through the temple? My lord, I beg you, do not do that. It would be incredibly dangerous. When a being from a lower dimension enters a higher one, the fundamental laws of this dimension warp them. This is the basis for existence here. Without the protection of a god's flame of faith, these life forms undergo irreversible transformations. They will eventually become bizarre monsters. Only apostles can temporarily remain in a higher dimensional world because we carry the seed of the flame of faith bestowed by our God. But even we will be affected if we stay too long. Dimensional limits. It seems the real world is the higher dimension. The pixel world is the lower dimension. I pointed to the busy cactus behind us. Then what about Xiaoyan? She is completely unaffected. The cactus is a special case. It was originally born in a higher dimension. Then a god brought it into the lower dimension. It is also a very simple life form. Because of that, it can adapt to different environments. So how long can you stay here? The limit is about 15 days. He begged them to let him return to the lower dimension before then. Otherwise, I could be warped by the laws of this world. I could become something very strange. I might even turn into a monster. And if I send you back and summon you again, That won't cause any problems, right? No, it won't. But it's best to let me stay in the lower dimension for at least 3 days. That will allow my foundation and form to stabilize. I get it. This is a bit like getting the bends, or maybe like needing a vaccine. If Suyi stays here too long, she might mutate. But as long as she returns from time to time, she can remain stable. With the preparations complete, I finally returned to the simulator. The top right corner showed a population of 254. The garlic tribe was growing much more slowly than I expected. It wasn't that the little people lacked enthusiasm for having babies. Many infants were born, but most died in infancy. Not many survived to adulthood. In the early stages, fewer than 1 in 10 infants survived. Now it is about 30%. Aside from infrastructure problems, the high infant mortality rate had another major cause. There were not enough doctors. The garlic tribe's only doctor was the shaman. One person handled the entire tribe's medical needs. Shaman, level 2. Moke ability, Hunter Chuesia. Healing art, level 2. With new life came the loss of the old. Untreated injuries and the deaths of the old and frail were the main reasons the tribe's population declined. The deceased pixel people were buried in the forest. They returned to Mother Earth and to nature. This custom originally belonged to the forest tribe. The new garlic tribe inherited it. After winter ended, an extremely hot summer quickly followed. The entire screen filled with a pale yellow light. Large stretches of grassland withered. The nearby river's water level dropped. Steam rose from the heads of every little person in the tribe. They were trapped in extreme heat. They spent their days hiding in their homes. They only went out in the early morning and late evening to farm and hunt. The scorching sun and drought continued without mercy. Once again, the little people gathered around the temple to pray. Great God Yao, please grant us rain. If this heat continues, the wheat and garlic will wither and die. Everyone dies. I was not stingy. I directly used 10 faith points to perform the miracle of rain. The long-awaited rain fell on the parched land. The little people cheered and praised their God. But the priest and the shaman were discussing something. The God has granted us rain and eased the heat. But we cannot keep relying on the God's mercy. This hot weather might return. We must use this rainy period to think of a reliable long-term solution. The two priests thought and thought, but they couldn't come up with anything. So I moved them to the riverbank. The shaman paced back and forth along the riverbank. Suddenly, an idea flashed through his mind. I've got it. We can dig a trench in the ground and channel the river water into it. That way, whenever it rains, we can store the cold rainwater. The two of them immediately rallied the entire tribe. Then they all worked together to dig the trench. Still, the little pixel people worked from dawn to dusk. Slowly, they channeled the river water into the fields. They dug a small pond first. Then they let the water flow back into the river from the other side. That turned the trench water into a flowing stream. Notifications kept popping up on the screen. The garlic tribe had learned how to build trenches. They had also gained knowledge of irrigation and drainage. The garlic tribe has learned irrigation. Its crop yield has increased. By mastering this technology, the new garlic tribe gained a reputation among the other tribes. The drought continued. But with the completion of the basic irrigation canal, their water supply and irrigation needs were secured. The pixel people's moods finally stabilized. Right in the middle of this prolonged drought, the Manzi tribe launched their third attack. 32 Manzi warriors participated in the raid, excluding the old, the weak, and the sick. You could say they went all in. They mobilized the entire tribe for this single looting run. Hand over your water and food, you starving, despicable heretic bastards. They charged in fiercely, but their battle cries only made me laugh. They could not even fill their own bellies. Even so, they still cursed us as heretics. They don't even know how to beg for food properly. If you want a chance, you have to get on your knees first. Right now, the garlic tribe is not afraid of an attack on this scale. The hunters drew their bows. They easily shot down the Manzi warriors. In this battle, 12 Manzi died. The remaining 20 were captured. The drought had tormented them so badly that they gave up. The shaman only needed to persuade them a little. The Manzi surrendered at once and willingly joined the garlic tribe. They even shouted, "Awesome!" At that point, I honestly started to suspect they had planned to defect to the garlic tribe all along. They were simply too naive to figure out how to gain acceptance. Or maybe the Manzi were holding back because of their warrior pride. They fought first and surrendered later. That probably felt easier for them to accept. The Manzi explained the tribe's situation. Fighting first and surrendering later probably felt easier for them to accept. The Manzi explained the situation of their tribe. It was too hot. Many people in the tribe had died. We have no food and no water. And the great demon still demands sacrifices. Our hero had already been eaten by the demon as a sacrifice. We went everywhere, pillaging what we could. When there was nothing left to loot, we came here. This also confirmed my suspicion. The bloodthirsty demon wasn't an elite player. The Manzi tribe was nothing more than a tool to him. He only knew how to force the Manzi to find prey for sacrifices. He did not even spare the Manzi hero. The Manzi tribe existed in name only. I had planned to wait out the drought before wiping out their remnants. But they could not even survive the overwhelming and indiscriminate power of nature. Human populations compete based on who adapts to the environment better. Well, that's one less thing to worry about. I stretched my arms. Sue-yi stood beside me. She suddenly looked out the window, and her voice turned serious. My lord, it is the aura of a demon. A demon? I walked over to the window. The alleys and streets were deserted. It was already night. Rumors said a pervert was roaming the area. The only thing on the street was a stray white dog wandering about. Where? Sue pointed to a dark corner of the street. A middle-aged man was lying there, seemingly drunk and leaning against the curb. He had just thrown up. A stray dog walked up to him and sniffed him. Then it did exactly what I expected. I never expected it. It bit into the man's clothes and slowly dragged him into the parking lot. My lord, please give me the order to hunt the demon. If you go deal with the demon, how will I contact you? Use my eye. Sue-yi reached into her left eye socket. It was a white eyeball with a green pupil. It had a cold, gemstone-like texture and a translucent glow. It looked like an ancient work of art. My lord, everything I see through the power of faith will be shown to you through this eye. You can also use it to give me new orders. I carefully took the eye. I told her to be careful. Don't let anyone discover your identity. Understood, my lord. Sue-yi's body was enveloped in black mist as she leapt from the windowsill. Blending into the night, I looked at the cold, smooth eye in my hand. When I gazed into the green pupil, a completely different view appeared before me. The streetlights on both sides of the road blurred past in an instant. Sue-yi chased the target at high speed. She turned into the parking lot and stopped to observe. Under the dim yellow light, the stray dog's body rapidly swelled. Its front legs rose upright. Its fur split down the middle. Underneath was a mess of greasy hair and a heavily bearded mouth, bearing white teeth. Its eyes were bloodshot. It looked like a mutated humanoid beast. Then a thought suddenly hit me. Wasn't this just an HD version of Manzi Hero? The beast-man ripped open the drunk man's clothes. His flesh was exposed to the air. Then it vomited a pool of blood onto him. Using its claw-like fingers, it dipped into the blood and drew bizarre symbols. Sui turned into a black shadow and rushed in fast. Out of nowhere, she pulled out a rusty steel pipe. Clang. A direct strike hit the beast man in the temple. The impact slammed it into the windshield of a beat-up Alto, shattering the glass into fragments. But even after such a heavy impact, the beastman's head was only slightly caved in. It was still trying to sit up. Sui swung the steel pipe down hard from midair again. Whack. Whack. The beastman's arms quickly went limp. Its body stopped moving. I was dumbfounded. What happened to the summoning-type necromancer? Why is she a physical damage sword master now? My lord, this is a demon cultist. Its identity is that of a hero. Suye's voice came through the eye. Then I realized something. The real demon is still hiding in the shadows, right? Yes, he is hiding somewhere. But because of dimensional limits, I cannot perceive a deity's identity. I can only sense the seed of faith within the apostle. It was difficult to pinpoint the demon's exact location. Was that demon cultist still alive? It is alive. But because it crossed the dimensional limit and came here from a lower dimension, it mutated into a monster. It is nothing more than a soulless husk controlled by the demon god. What is the usual way to deal with this? Kill it. Once they turn into monsters, they recover even if they return to the lower dimension. Killing them is the final mercy we can offer. Then just do it. Suyi looked at the beast man again. My lord, he is already dead. On the dented car, only a pitch-black silhouette remained. It looked like the human-shaped ash left behind after someone was burned alive. I am truly sorry, my lord. It has been a long time since I last fought. Even though I tried my best to hold back, he was simply too weak. Even that much strength was enough to kill him. Please punish me. Forget it. At least I was making some progress. Suddenly, my vision shook violently for a moment. Then it stopped. It was as if someone had pressed pause. Sui. Sui. No response. Her body had gone completely still. My point of view was now fixed. I stared at the streetlight. The demon player must have made a move. I calmly observed the situation and considered my options. Then a masked figure stepped into view. A hood covered half their face. Finally caught you. You little fish. You really made me work for this. You're a good little hider, aren't you? Well then, I will be taking that flame of faith from you. Suya, who had been frozen stiff, suddenly came back to life. She grabbed the figure's wrist with one hand. Gotcha. The figure trembled. Impossible. The beastification ritual has already begun. How are you still conscious? Who are you? Suya asked with her eyes. My lord, should I kill her? That is the standard procedure. Not yet. Let me think. Take off her hood. Suya yanked down the figure's hood. It revealed light blonde hair and the face of a young woman. The hairdresser and Qi stared blankly at Suyi. Her gaze was distant. Now it was time to question her. Faced with Su Ye's interrogation, and she answered frankly. Maybe she knew she was cornered, or maybe she simply did not care. From her words, I quickly pieced everything together. And Qi had been pretending to be a victim to hide her identity. She summoned a hero from the Mahdi tribe into the real world to perform the beastification ritual. It involved stripping people, smearing them with blood, and hanging them up. The two targets of her ritual, the college student and the delivery guy, were not ordinary people. They were other simulator players. The key to the ritual was a small beastification talisman attached to the barbarian hero's forehead. If a target was stared at by the talisman for long enough, they gradually lost their reason, consciousness, and memories. Suddenly, Enki's expression twisted with rage. A high-level player like you, why are you still in the safe zone? Her face twisted with anger. A high-level player like you, why are you still allowed in the safe zone? Those bastards on the committee just bully the weak and suck up to the strong. They only know how to bully regular players like us. But people like you just turn a blind eye. Was there any justice in this world? At my instruction, Sui stayed silent and played the role of a powerful master. The more you talk, the more likely you are to slip up. Silence revealed nothing. He was not surprised by Sui's silence. She pulled 3 items from her bag. Winner takes all. The loser should know their place. I get it. I was just unlucky enough to run into someone I couldn't handle. I admit defeat. This is all I have left. I made it to the ascending zone once. But some bastard sabotaged my run. That sent me back to the safe zone. I was just trying to use the beastification ritual to farm some points and get back there. Now all I have left is a single MIDI tribe, and even that was wiped out by drought. Then kill me, or do whatever you want. I do not care. The committee is already watching me anyway. Turn yourself in. This ends here. Anki pulled out her phone and called 911. Hello? Police? Yeah, I'm the freak who was hanging people up. That /S right. That /S the one. I /M turning myself in. I /M guilty. My name is Anki. I live in Nampu Apartments, Jiuan District, Building 3, Room 701. Half an hour later, in a stark white room, I said, I told you. That was a high-level player who should never have been in the safe zone. My skinning ritual was completely useless against them. They killed my 7-bone barbarian hero in just 3 hits with a steel pipe. Their entire bodies were covered in black bones. They looked young too. It had to be either a high-level player from the ascending zone or a high-level apostle. This was far beyond the safe zone standards. It was a high-level apostle. It was definitely far beyond the safe zone standards. Opposite him stood a wall of green bricks. Its surface rippled like water. A voice came from the wall. And now, we announce the committee's sentence. For harming normal players in the safe zone, illegally plundering faith, and disrupting social order, you are hereby sentenced to 10 years of confinement. The sentence will remain in effect until you enter the ascending zone. The sentence takes effect immediately. The room suddenly went dark. Only the screen on the desk emitted a faint light. It lit up Anka-i's resentful face. She sighed and sat down in front of the computer. She opened the only icon on the screen, God Simulator. As soon as the interface opened, she slammed her fist onto the table in rage. A high-level player was one thing, but now even some nobody newbie dared to mess with me. You destroyed his tribe and his path. Shin Miao, you little brat lord. These offerings are from the demon. Sui held out her hands and presented 3 items. I picked up a pitch-black statue from among them. It was about the size of a seal. It felt like soft black clay, somewhere between rubber and earth. Numerous dark crimson eyes were embedded within it. They gave off a sinister aura. The skinning talisman statue is level 3. It increases faith by 3 points per hour. Attack +2. It could initiate the beastification ritual. Through staring, it plundered the reason, consciousness, and memories of a living sacrifice, turning them into a powerful skinning beast. In exchange, it granted the power of faith. No wonder Inky said she was farming faith. She was basically selling other players to this mysterious skinner in exchange for faith from its statue. The skinner statue was a special kind of conceptual attack. When the last 2 players were attacked, they never would have guessed the real threat. It was not the beast man or the blood curse, but this unassuming statue. What is more, this artifact has a level. It can be upgraded continuously. It has potential for growth. I put down the statue and picked up another item. This whistle was made from some unknown bone. Its surface was yellowed. It looked ancient. The evil ram's whistle increased faith by 2 points per hour. It was a treasure made by the piper. By blowing the whistle, you can control monsters and beasts that have lost their minds. The synergy was obvious. The Skinner statue and the evil ram's whistle were a perfect match. Together, they were greater than the sum of their parts. The former turns people or creatures into beasts. The latter tames those beastified individuals for your own use. No wonder Inky talked about being someone's dog. She was not joking. She was simply stating a fact. I looked at the final item. It was a letter sealed with wax. I broke the seal easily. Inside were 2 sheets of yellowed parchment. Drifting letter. It increases faith by 1 point per hour. Usable sheets. 2. Write a message on the letter, and through a blessing, it can be sent to a designated low-level individual. The recipient is guaranteed to understand the message. So that was how the black bear attacked the tribe before. The letter that fell from its corpse came from this very item. The barbarian tribe was all muscle and no brains. The modified barbarian hero had a stronger body, but was even closer to a mindless beast. That was why, even though they could recognize the letter, they still ended up in the wrong place. I thought for a moment. The Skinner statue's beastification model is the exact opposite of my own development strategy. Increasing faith might be faster, but it basically means doing the Skinner's dirty work and making enemies. It's best used as a piece of equipment. After all, it gives a +2 attack bonus. Sui, this is for you. Try your best not to use the beastification ritual. Just treat it as an accessory. My lord, the evil ram's whistle is for you too. These 2 items were originally part of one set. It made the most sense for Sui to have them both. Right, my lord. Is there any other way to dispose of items we do not use? You can throw them directly into the divine temple's pyre, the flame of faith. Burning it would grant a small amount of faith. Of the 3 spoils of war, I kept only the drifting letter. In Chouei's hands, it was useless. Her barbarian tribe had no one smart enough to use it. But in my hands, it is a very useful consumable. With this, I can write directly to the prophet and the shaman to convey my will. There is no need for indirect guidance anymore. I was in a pretty good mood. First, I had found the hidden demon key. Then I had the police arrest her, removing the biggest threat to my safety. Even if she somehow manages to escape, I know who she really is, and she has no idea who I am. Before, she stayed in the shadows. I stood out in the open. Now she is exposed, and I am in the shadows. On top of that advantage, I also have 3 high-value items. The fixed income of 6 faith points per hour alone was enough to make me grin. Add that to the cactus follower experience and the storage bonus. That brings the total to 8 points per hour. That was 192 points a day. Before that, my faith income had been tight. I used to think twice before using any miracles. Now I can use them much more freely. You want rain? I will make it rain. You want to strike someone with lightning? Done. But before I went back to the simulator, there was one more important matter to handle. How come you seem to have no powers at all, Sui? My lord, the dying prayer consumes mana. It is not worth using on such a weak enemy. What about the jungle sword? The opponent was too weak. It could not trigger the jungle sword's effect. I felt a little disappointed. I returned the eye to her. Sui took the eyeball and skillfully popped it back into the socket beneath her sunglasses. I refocused on the simulator. I might not have had the heart to be cruel to a real person like Enki, but I had no problem being ruthless to her barbarian tribe. My turn. In fact, I was feeling very bold. I figured Enki was still having tea at the police station and could not access the simulator. I went straight to Miracles and selected Earthquake. It required 40 faith, but I only had 20. They couldn't use it. Speed was paramount in war. There was no time to waste. I immediately took out a pen. Then I wrote a message on the drifting letter. The demon worshipped by the barbarian tribe has been defeated. They could not miss this opportunity. They had to conquer and absorb the barbarian tribe at once. Eliminate the threat. I moved the cursor over the letter. Did you wish to bestow the drifting letter upon your follower? Unlike before, the little people did not notice the blessing descending from the heavens this time. Once the letter entered the pixel world, it simply hovered in the air. I clicked and dragged it straight over to the prophet. An exclamation mark appeared over his head. It was a divine revelation. The demon of the barbarian tribe has been defeated. The prophet and the shaman acted immediately. The garlic tribe dispatched 30 elite hunters. The tribe dispatched 30 elite hunters. Led by 2 heroes, they charged into the mountain range. They quickly found the barbarian tribe's location. It was a small settlement with just over 20 people left. They were all lying unconscious on the ground. Faint, gray, ghostly figures hovered over their heads. They were extremely weak. Even if the garlic tribe had not attacked, they would not have survived more than a few days on their own. The 2 heroes easily captured all the barbarians. Then, without hesitation, they destroyed the demon god statue beside the cave. The garlic tribe and the barbarian tribe have merged. Your faith has increased. Faith increased by 51 points. Total, 71. The cave next to the old barbarian camp was very suspicious, but I did not intend to let the little people take the risk. I used the earthquake directly. I targeted the cave entrance and the surrounding area. 40 faith was consumed. The mountain crumbled, and the earth split in the targeted area. Boulders tumbled down, and the cave entrance quickly collapsed. It was completely buried under the rubble. This way, if anything unusual happened in the collapsed cave, I would be able to detect it immediately. A notification appeared on the screen. The faith of the beast-devouring god had completely disappeared from the area. Its followers will begin searching for a new god. The holiday came and went, but the work never ended. I sat at my desk and organized documents. Sister Fong came over again. That little girl, Suyi, looked like a doll. She carries herself with such elegance. Which rich family does she come from? When are you two planning to get married? I almost spat out my water. We are just friends. Do not even try to pretend otherwise. She was wearing your clothes and went to the supermarket with you. She wasn't your girlfriend. Could she have been your maid? That was what I really wanted to say. She is, in fact, my apostle. But all I could say was a vague, it / not what you think. Then what was it? Sister Fong refused to let it go. I changed the subject. Oh, right. Sister Fong, how tall is your fiancé? The police officer is 6'1". A tall guy like that must make you feel safe. Speaking of that, I heard the pervert was caught. So he really was caught. Yep. But the suspect's identity seems a bit sensitive. It wasn't announced publicly. It has been handed over to the higher-ups. Han Jiging did not reveal much either. He said it was a matter of protocol. That gave me a jolt. In other words, it was handed over to the higher-ups. Huey's identity as a player has been exposed. More importantly, it seems there is a special department that manages the player community. This proves that, besides me and Inkia, there are quite a few others playing the role of gods in the pixel world. Thinking back, Inkia saw Sway as a high-level player. He also mentioned the committee. Somehow, it all seems connected to that organization. But this also confirmed that Inkia was truly in custody. She would not be causing any trouble for a while. How did the conversation turn back to her? Suyi did not even look 20. Where is she from? Is her family okay with you looking after her? Could it be that you two have been engaged since childhood? She already went home? And you just let her leave like that? What if she never comes back? A girl that beautiful could not just disappear. You'll never find another one like her. People have to go home eventually. Sui has returned to the pixel world. It was her own wish, and it was also the law of the dimensions. The longer she stayed in the real world, the greater the risk of mutation. With Nki captured, she had no reason to stay there any longer. An apostle's greatest mission is to serve as the right hand of their God. They spread their God's faith. She can truly shine only by returning to the pixel world. In the end, Suyi was only here for 2 days. When I got home from work, little Yi was sitting quietly in her flower pot. She looked no different from an ordinary houseplant. The game interface showed that the garlic tribe was steadily growing. Its population was 303, and its faith was 201. Inside the temple, Suyi knelt quietly in a black cloak. She faced me through the screen. Awaiting orders, I typed into the chat box. Has anything unusual happened in the tribe lately? My lord, everything is normal. There is nothing suspicious. Earlier, you asked me to investigate the collapsed cave in the barbarian tribe. Do you have any results? My lord, inside is a passageway that connects to another unknown area. But because the mountain collapsed, it was completely destroyed. It can no longer be used. My lord, I request permission to leave the tribe temporarily. Not long ago, I used a dying prayer to awaken an undead spirit. It said there was an oasis in the southern desert. Within that oasis lived the Bedouin tribe. The Bedouin tribe herds sheep and camels. Its people are fierce. More importantly, they control a passage that connects the plains to another region. I wanted to enter the desert. I wanted to find the Bedouin tribe and turn them into believers. I had great faith in Suyi's strength. Then I said, go. Yes, my lord. Suyi stepped out of the temple and headed straight into the western desert. Her journey of exploration had begun. He looked at the cactus on the table. Xiaoyan, make me a bowl of noodles. Add some pickled peppers. Xiaoyan, make me a bowl of noodles. Add some pickled peppers. Add an egg. Throw in a sausage too. Yes, Lord God. Xiaoyan stood up from the flower pot and shook the dirt off his body. He pulled a pack of instant noodles from a cardboard box in the corner. Then he ran off to cook it. I rented a 2-bedroom apartment. I shared it with my college buddy, Zhou Jai. Zhou Jai wasn't here. The other room was being used as a temporary storage space. It was piled high with cardboard boxes. He usually came by early in the morning once a week. He would stock up and drop off new inventory. Whenever I got home, I locked the door from the inside. So I was not worried about anyone seeing Xiaoyan. Outside the window, the yowls of stray cats echoed. I could not tell whether they were fighting or mating. I stood up and stretched my limbs. As I rolled my neck, my joints let out a series of cracks. I moved a little too forcefully and pulled a muscle in my lower back. It hurt so much that I gasped for air. As I rubbed my back, a new notification popped up on the computer. The garlic tribe had invented writing. The people's overall intelligence had increased. The emergence of writing gives the garlic tribe the ability to keep records. Civilization and faith can now spread across regions. If it were not for my back pain, I would have broken into a martial arts routine right then and there. Writing is the ultimate symbol of civilization. The garlic tribe had finally escaped the age of ignorance. Along with the invention of writing, the game interface also updated. At the top of the screen, a few new resource indicators appeared. They were listed beside population and faith. Food, medicine, stone, leather, salt. But they did not show the exact numbers. Instead, they appeared as energy bars, Food was the most abundant, glowing a healthy green. When I hovered the mouse over it, a detailed breakdown appeared. Wheat made up 8 parts, meat made up 1 part, and the rest were miscellaneous items. Salt and leather were also in the green. Wood was marked yellow, which meant the reserves were low. The stone was red, which meant there was a severe shortage. I thought about it for a moment and understood. Only after writing was invented could these resources be shown in text form. As civilization continued to develop, society became more complex. The interface would update accordingly. Thank goodness their civilization developed and evolved on its own. I did not need to micromanage everything. I just had to guide the direction. The game notifications kept appearing. General notification: you have defeated the devouring beast god of the region. At this point, the Yinsi tribe's attitude had become much warmer. The Yinsi tribe has offered you a sacrifice. The word sacrifice instantly woke me up. I opened the temple interface. In the sacrifice slot, there was a shiny golden item, a golden die. Each roll consumes 2 faith points. If you roll a 6, you receive a sacrifice of unknown origin. My excitement vanished in an instant. The Yinsi tribe had actually offered up a gambling tool. I was extremely sensitive about my faith points now. The moment I saw the description of the golden dice, one phrase popped into my head: whoever comes is up to no good. At its core, gambling is a scam. Each roll costs 2 points. Where did these faith points go? Thinking about the Yinsi tribe's merchant-like style and the fact that they claimed to worship 3 gods, I became suspicious. I suspected some god was behind those golden dice, pulling the strings and using the Yinsi tribe to run scams everywhere. They used dice to swindle faith points from other gods. It was far more sophisticated than Key's exhausting method of brute force robbery. As for rolling a 6 to get a sacrifice, the odds were completely out of my control. If they said it was a hit, then it was a hit. If they said it was a miss, then it was a miss. It was a blatant display of manipulation. Einstein was right. God controls the dice. But since they had already gifted it, there was no reason not to accept it. Su-yi had mentioned that unwanted sacrifices could be thrown into the faith fire. They would burn and turn into faith points. I tossed the golden dice straight into the temple's fire pit. Faith plus 10. Sure enough, it wasn't worth much. I took a moment to observe the garlic tribe's surroundings. The plains were their main base. There was still a lot of uncultivated land there. A dense forest stretched to the north. To the east, a river blocked the way. A mountain range lay to the west. The desert stretched to the south. Although the world map was still expanding through exploration, there were no other populations nearby. To grow quickly, the best approach was to trade, exchange, and even merge with other tribes. At the time, the only safe passage was through the Yinsi tribe behind the mountains. They had a firm hold on the entrance and exit. Another possible route led to the Bedouin tribe in the southern oasis. So he needed time to open that path. Unlike the forceful conquest of the barbarian tribe, the Yinsi tribe used a flexible strategy. They were actively trading. In the short term, there was no conflict of interest between the two sides. The situation seemed stable for now. After the garlic tribe invented writing, another major change followed. The little pixel people had all learned to think for themselves. The question marks above their heads were no longer limited to the prophet and the shaman. I clicked on the question marks above various pixel people to read their thoughts. I woke up really hungry today. I ate until I was full, so I am not hungry anymore. But tomorrow, I'll be hungry again. Why am I always hungry? So what is the point of humans eating anyway? The weeds in the wheat fields grow faster than the wheat. If only wheat could grow on its own like weeds. That way, we would never run out of food. That would be great. It's so delicious. Wheat tastes amazing. Garlic is delicious too, but eating them together is even better. I'm probably the only one who knows this secret. The prophet is old, and the shaman is old too. Should I inherit the role of prophet or shaman? What a headache. Among them, one farmer's thoughts caught my attention. There are far more weeds and pests this year. And once again, they were hit by drought. The wheat harvest will likely be poor. Everyone in the tribe is counting on the wheat. If we don't a good harvest this year, we'll have to endure starvation this winter. It wasn't just him. Several other farmers expressed the same concern. They were devoted to tending the fields. They were also highly sensitive to the environment and the crops. I searched around for a while. Then I decided on the next remote support item. I went into the kitchen, grabbed a large potato, and placed it on the mouse. Would you like to give a potato to your believers? Yes. Exclamation marks popped up one after another above the heads of the little pixel people in the tribe. The god has bestowed another blessing, potatoes. Just bury them in the dirt, and they will grow even in drought. It yields more than wheat. It is a completely new kind of food. Smiles spread across the farmers' faces. This was wonderful. The god of grain knew the harvest would be bad this year. So he bestowed potatoes upon us. No one will starve to death this winter. Praise the god of grain. The farmers quickly planted the potatoes in the new fields. The dry season gradually came to an end. After a few heavy rains, autumn passed quickly. Before long, snow began to fall. Just as the farmers had predicted, this year's wheat harvest was extremely poor. It dropped from 8 parts to 4. The potatoes made up 3 parts. Meat made up 2 portions. The overall food reserves flashed a yellow warning. Thank goodness the potatoes arrived in time. Otherwise, the winter food shortage would have been severe. This was another advantage that came with the advancement of civilization. People knew how to think. They knew how to worry and how to observe. From there, they continued to communicate and experiment. As the god standing behind them, I could also use the pixel people's questions to notice subtle changes in the pixel world. Then I could make adjustments. During this short winter, 2 things happened. First, the Yinsi tribe came to buy a batch of food at a high price. According to them, the long drought had caused severe problems. Most of the other tribes they knew were already facing food shortages. The garlic tribe was already seen as a fairly wealthy region. The second thing was that a group of immigrants arrived from the Yinsi tribe. There were 22 of them in total. That included 2 carpenters, 2 apothecaries, and 1 salt maker. For the first time in its history, the garlic tribe had attracted a group of skilled professionals. On one hand, they had some understanding of this miraculous faith. On the other hand, it was caused by the drought and the food shortage. There was nowhere better to get a full meal than the garlic tribe. It was a food-producing region. The carpenters were skilled in logging and woodworking. During the winter, they went into the forest and started chopping wood. Then they built the very first wooden house for the garlic tribe. The apothecaries filled the void left behind when only the shaman had medical skills. They went into the forest to gather herbs and treat the sick. They saved quite a few lives. The salt maker found some rock salt in the western mountain range. Although the yield was not high, it still gave the tribe another way to obtain salt. I poured myself a glass of iced Coke, tore open a bag of cucumber-flavored potato chips, and looked down at the little pixel people busy at work in the tribe. I felt like I had become one with them. My body felt stronger too. I do not play dice. I just want a stable, happy life.